Usually when doing these videos, we talk about Arkansas losing players to the transfer portal, but today they're welcoming in a new name. Omega Blake from Charlotte has committed to Fayetteville. What do we make of the move with the former 49er? Let's go ahead and break it all down. Welcome on into SEC Unfiltered. He's Dave Shumate. I'm Cole Thompson, and today we grade the fit of Omega Blake headed back to the SEC. Real quickly, make sure that you like the video, hit the ring notification down below, and of course, subscribe to the channel because we talk college football every single day. What better place to be for transfer portal news, college football playoff predictions, and everything surrounding your favorite conference than SEC Unfiltered? Download the podcast version of the show wherever you get your podcast listening systems. Follow us on the socials, the link in the description. Follow Dave at Mock 10 Sports, me at Mr. Cole Thompson, and check out all of our great work found at secunfiltered.com. This episode is brought to you by our friends over at PrizePicks. PrizePicks is the #1 fantasy app and, of course, the official sponsor of the SEC Unfiltered Tour. Go to prizepicks.com and use the promo code SECU at signup to get a $50 instant play with your first $5 lineup. Guys, this is not just for college football. This is for college basketball. If you believe the over is going to hit for the Tennessee Volunteers, if you believe that Alabama is going to have a leading score and go for 22.5 points, make sure that you go ahead and play it at prizepicks.com, promo code SECU at signup. Dave, I think I'm going to call Omega Blake 747. I think that's going to be his nickname from here on out. You want to know why? Because the man just flies. The man is just all about flying down the field with these. Last season for Charlotte, averaged 24.8 yards per catch, 32 catches, 795 yards, found the end zone on 9 different occasions. This is a dude with straight line speed and is probably going to really benefit a quarterback like Taylor Green that knows how to uncork one like no one's business.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is again, with the unit and Ronnie Fouch, the wide receiver coach at Arkansas, one of Bobby Petrino's right-hand guys that came up from Missouri State. They lost. Let's call it spade a spade. You mentioned it earlier. They lost a ton of guys. I mean, they lost one of the more underrated players. I know Arkansas wasn't a phenomenal team this year. I mean, we'll see them today. But, like, Andrew Armstrong, very underrated. I mean, with top 2 in receptions, I believe, in the SEC. They're going to replace that. He was the most consistent thing they had. Obviously, you lost Isaiah Satania. He's still up in the air. You lost Isaac Tesla, who will be going. Tyron Broden didn't pan out. You lost
Luke Haas, a tight end.
Luke Haas, yeah, who left. He was a receiving threat for you when he was healthy. So you lost a lot of receiving threats. Almost, and this isn't anything. I like Omega Blake's film. I like it a lot. But it's almost one of those things like, yeah, I mean, it's hard to critique any. I mean, you need bodies. Again, I mean, and he's a productive guy. So, I mean, it's hard to be too critical about this take because you got to help Taylor Green. You got to bring in some weapons for Taylor Green. I mean, I know you re-upped his deal. And you got to surround him with good weapons across the board. In Arkansas, for whatever reason, from talking to them over there, they don't want to spend money on skill guys. They're going to be on the low end. I mean, they got outbid by Kentucky at one point. But again, for this specific take for Omega Blake, I like it. It's like you said, he plays probably a little smaller than what his size was listed. I mean, I'm looking at 6'2", 180. You watch him here, he looks a little smaller than that. But to your point, Cole, I mean, you take the top off the defense. It's an explosive game now. You have to create explosive plays. You're not going to have 8 to 10 yard or 8 to 10 play drives. You're converting on third down like the 2020 Texas A&M offense that led the country in third down conversion. It's asking a lot. You got to take the top off the defense. You got to score from far. I think Omega Blake gives them that opportunity, especially when you add in Taylor Green's coming back.
Well, the other part that's really beneficial is that Braylon Russell has committed back to Arkansas for another year. So you have your running back of the future to replace Quinton Jackson. The other thing is that Omega Blake was a sought-after player. This was not just some willy-nilly dude who was only going to go to Arkansas. South Carolina, reportedly, was at least in the conversation. Florida State was in the conversation. Kentucky was in the conversation. Multiple other SEC and ACC schools were interested in his services. And he picks Arkansas. So regardless of if Arkansas is going to pay the money to bring in these premier wide receivers the way that an Alabama will or an LSU will or even USC will potentially down the stretch, they're at least adding in pieces. And they're adding in a piece for my money that I really like for the Bobby Petrino style offense to be explosive because Taylor Green needs to have those vert receivers. He's got to be able to show off his arm strength. He's got to be able to show off that he is more than just this guy that is improvising behind the line of scrimmage. A guy like Omega Blake does that. 3 games this past year with over 100 receiving yards, including a 205 5-catch, 3-touchdown game against FAU. That's on the positive side. He's going to win with route running. He's going to win with pure straight line speed. You add that together, I think that's a really good fit for what Arkansas needs next year. And it's a critical year. They have to be able to start winning and winning at a consistent basis underneath Sam Pittman if they want to see any change. Change that is sustainable to where they can be at least a dark horse for the college football playoff. Change to where they can be more than just a 6-6 team. 8-4 and 9-3, not off the table. And a guy like O'Mega Blake doesn't solve all those problems. But what it does is it does enhance the way that you get to see a guy like Taylon Green show off what he was capable of when he was at Boise State and what made Bobby Petrino fall in love with him when he handpicked him as the next Hogs quarterback. Because remember, when they hired Bobby Petrino, they said, here's the deal. We're going to bring in whoever you want at quarterback. You pick your guy. Bobby Petrino said, I want the dude from the Mountain West. Bring him on from Boise down to Fayetteville. We're going to make this shit work. Now you bring in a guy like O'Mega Blake. I think it can work extremely well.
Yeah, and again, you still got the spring portal to go sprinkle in some added. It's probably
still bringing some guys right now.
Yeah, you're already down the rabbit hole if you're playing Moneyball, whether you want to go back or not. Like you've already allocated how much money from talking to them, so you're going to have to go sprinkle in probably another couple $200,000, $300,000 guys for the 2024 season. To your point, Cole. Yeah, they needed it because the schedule is going to get a little tougher. I mean, you drop Oklahoma State for Notre Dame, and then you go on the road next year where you go to Baton Rouge, you go to Knoxville, you go to Oxford, and you go to Austin. I mean, that's arguably one of the tougher road schedules in the league right now, just as we sit here in December. So Arkansas got a lot of improvement, but you're right, Bear. I'm with you. It's a step in the right direction. I mean, as much as you you subtracted from the roster by choice, by the kid choosing what he wanted to do, or by graduation. You had to add somebody else. Not a bad start here.
You also mentioned that Baton Rouge is on the schedule. They're calling Baton Rouge to go to next year against an LSU team that's going to have a veteran quarterback. Let's grade the move, Dave. You have a chart that we always love to see be pulled up. We go from elite to all league to winnable plus, winnable minus. These are just the scoring basis of how we believe is the best fit for what a player can do. O'Mega Blake is going to be a really interesting find because when you break down his film, he's a dude that I think we may overhype because of the role he's going to play in this system. But he also is a dude to where you kind of can't help but overhype him because you look at the wide receiver core, it's pretty barren at this point from proven experience.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Yeah, I mean, like you said, you could critique him as a player what you want, but it's also like, yeah, okay, who do you want us to go? Yeah, we got to replace. We got to replenish this room somehow. So yeah, I mean, it goes both ways. Again, I like his film when you turn it on.
It's a very fun film to watch, actually.
Correct. Is he going to go replace Andrew Armstrong? No, but I think they know that.
All right, let's go grade the move. Do you have the chart pulled up?
Yeah.
There you go.
All right, guys, just an initial background. This is a chart I used when I was in college football. Kirby Smart, Dan Lanning, them kind of simplified it from the Nick Saban, Bill Belichick critical factors. So I think you got your grading skills got to match your college grading scale with your high school grading scale. When I say that, you got to be talking the same language when you're discussing your college guys and your high school guys. So just dumb that down a little bit for them. So this is what a decent amount of the SEC schools actually use. So elite, rare, you're not going to hear myself or Cole giving we haven't given elite rates since we've been doing this. This is the no-brainers. Your wife can tell you these guys are big-time players. I mean, you got Travis Hunter, Trey Smith from the offensive line kind of come to mind. All league, you're not going to have a lot of those guys either. That's another really good player. The Walter Nolans of the league. Those aren't just going to be hanging off. Those aren't the low-hanging fruit guys that are just easy to get. If you want to go build a championship roster, most of your guys are going to come from this winnable plus category. Winnable plus category. Every 10 guys you evaluated on your own roster, when you're evaluating your own roster, if you were anywhere from 5 to 7, 50% to 70% hit, and you want to call them winnable plus players, you got a pretty damn good football roster. You're probably sitting there, your favorite team is probably sitting there in the college football playoff. These are guys you win with because of them. You're winning because of these guys. Now go down below, winnable minus. I used to have a winnable one. Maybe in the spring portal I'll add that back because I find myself kind of leaning that way. But winnable minus, don't look at the minus. It doesn't mean it's a bad thing. It's not a guy that's a bad player. You have to surround him with other people. Like you can win with him, but not because of him. Opposite of the winnable plus. So not a bad player. Then obviously down there, that's on the sheet. The Jags, just a guy. We're not going to talk about those. I'm going to go here, Bear. I'm going to go winnable minus because I think you're going to have to surround him not only with other wide receivers. I think you have to surround O'Mega not only with other wide receivers, complementary wide receivers to match his skill set because I don't think he can win at all three levels. You're also going to put 4 to 5 offensive linemen out there to protect Taylon Green for him. Because, again, what O'Mega Blake does best, is get vertical. And that means Taylor Green is going to have time. And we know Arkansas lost 4 to 5 starters in the offensive line. They're going to have to bring them in. The guys like Caden Kittler, who they brought in from UCF, guys like Corey Robinson, they brought in from Georgia Tech. They're going to have to step up. Again, I think Caden Kittler's better than Addison Nichols, what they had last year at center. But that's going to have to translate on the football field. I think Omega Blake's a good football player. I like the take. He's going to have to be surrounded, though, with 10 other good football players. So I think he's a winner. You're not going to win because of him, but I think you can win with him. So give me a winnable minus.
He is the 15th commit for Arkansas in 2025 out of the transfer portal. He is the most important to me, or the most prominent name. I go winnable plus. And here's the reason why. I understand that he had very little success when he was at South Carolina. One breakout year at Charlotte in the American Conference. I understand that we're going to overhype it. But Dave, here's what I'm not going to overhype. When you break a record in college football, that's something that I have to at least margin. So he averaged 24.8 yards per catch. That is the most by any receiver with at least 30 catches in a season over the past 5 years. So the guy knows how to be a vertical threat. When you're making history like that, and you're fitting into an offense with a quarterback that last year averaged around 8 yards per throw, that just feels like a bread and butter, biscuits and gravy, mashed potatoes with a side of steak. Like it just feels like a good combination, and something that is going to benefit you. It's going to benefit your offense. It's going to benefit your play calling. It's going to open up the passing attack a lot more. This is a team that has so many faults, so many issues. And I have been probably the biggest proponent on hating on Arkansas over the last 2 years. And I'll admit that. I'll be the first to say so, because if I want to see change there, consistent change. And it just feels like, how many times are we watching Arkansas shoot itself in the foot? The Oklahoma State game. You look at the Texas A&M game in the Southwest Classic. You put on a great performance against Tennessee, and then you fail to show up against LSU. I feel like that Omega Blake is a guy that won't work in a lot of offenses at a consistent basis. This is a dude that will work specifically for Bobby Petrino. They have a designed role for him. They have a designed quarterback that will do exactly what is necessary, and they can connect on 30 to 40 catches per season, maybe 50 catches, averaging 17 to 25 yards per play, finding their way into the end zone 10 times. If I get that from Omega Blake, I know what his role is. He understands the assignment. I'm not telling him to do too much. That makes him a winnable plus for me. So it's the fact of I know how to utilize him in this specific offense with this specific quarterback that actually makes him, I think, a little bit of an oversell than an undersell, at least going into the year.
No, I totally agree with you. Yeah. Again, that's why I almost want to add back the winnable grade a little bit. He fits kind of right in there to me.
It's literally right on the line. But let us know in the comment section down below. What do you think of Omega Blake? Is he a winnable plus? Is he a winnable minus? Is he going to be an all-league all-SEC wide receiver in 2025? Like, review, make sure that you hit subscribe to the channel. Follow us on all the socials. Link in the description. Follow Dave at Mach 10 Sports. Me at Miss Cole Thompson. And check out all of our great work found at SECUnfiltered.com. For Dave Shumate, I'm Cole Thompson. Hog City, you got yourself a wide receiver #1. Peace.